Hello out there, and welcome to another episode of Cross-Cultural Experience. My name is Uche Onyebadi. If you're joining for the very first time, this is a forum where I talk about an experience outside a culture of origin. So I can talk about myself, or most of the time, I invite guests who are willing to share their experience in another culture. But more importantly, what did they learn from that experience? Because our world is made up of very different parts. And so your experience wherever you live might just be different. In fact, it's usually different from what is obtainable elsewhere. All right, this is a two-part series about China, my visit and my experience in China. Now, if you want to join me, all you need to do is to email me at crossculturalexperiences@gmail.com. Crossculturalexperiences@gmail.com, and then we'll take things from there. All right, welcome one more time. One of the things I do, it professionally is to be a teacher of journalism, communication, mass communication. And then we try to take a look at media systems across the globe. And so I'm very, very much aware of media systems, so many parts of the world, including China, Russia, and all that. You know, there's always a difference between academic knowledge and real life experience. When you experience something in real life, you might just discover that it is probably totally different from your academic, experience or academic knowledge. And so I've always known, and so many people do also, that in China, it belongs to one of those countries we call the authoritarian media system, where the media system is tied to the political system. In other words, if you have a centralized government, you're likely to have the media system that supports that centralized government. You never get the opposite, because that's exactly the way it works. If you're in a liberal country, then the media is always the likelihood, but the media will also be very liberal. So that's how it goes. But like I said, academic knowledge is one thing, real life experience is another. And so I get to China. I was doing something for a university in China. And so as I was leaving my hotel to the university, just like, I don't know, 10 minutes walk, I noticed that China Daily, they had an office, very close. I think it's one of their main offices in Beijing. So I said, out of curiosity, I said, oh, okay, this is the thing we talk about, we tell students. So let me just see if I can get into, the China Daily office and just look around, guided tour of the place. Of course, you have to obtain permission. The first thing that struck me was that there was a soldier in front of a very armed, with his, oh, not so strange. We can have them soldiers all over the place. I didn't want to really meet the soldier because I wasn't going to talk to somebody who is armed and probably does not understand what maybe English language, and I don't speak Mandarin. So that could be. So I waited, just a little bit. And then I saw somebody coming out, I guessed in civilian mufti. So I said, okay, this might just be a journalist. And true to my, what I was thinking, this guy was a journalist. So he came out and I introduced myself. Fortunately for me, he spoke English. And we were just talking. I said, oh, you know, I'm staying in that hotel, but I've been invited by this university to do something, for them. And then now that I have seen the China Daily, which is actually the largest circulating English language newspaper in China, about 900,000 daily, up to 1 million. So I would just like, just to come in, see what journalists do, just a guided tour of the place, and then so I said, so who do I meet? How do I get about? The guy told me that, yes, you can. It is possible. but you know, there is a protocol. I said, oh yeah, I know there must be a protocol. Maybe the editor or whoever, you know, we can just fix an appointment. And then I go and see the place. He said, no, 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 not the editor. I said, so who do I? He said, uh-uh. So since, and he told me, since a university invited you, because on your own, you will never get in. Forget about it. So ask the authorities at the university, meaning maybe the chancellor's office or whoever, ask them to apply for you to come and visit. I said, ask them for me to come and have a guided tour. He said, yeah, that's how it goes. And then there's a long chain of approvals. They approve it there, approve it there, approve it there, until you'll get the final approval to come do your 10-minute visit or 15 minutes. I said, okay, okay, I understand. So how long do you think this protocol will take? And the guy said, maybe if it is so fast, 2 months. I said, 2 months? And I was leaving the following week, the next week. He said, yeah, if it is I said, okay, I don't really have the time to stay that long. I wish I had, and then I would have tried the protocol. And then he told me, okay. In other words, you don't just walk into the office of the China Daily. Now, so I started trying to imagine if I can get access just to visit, and my identity is clear. So I could imagine the people who work there, how they are supervised in terms of what they write or what they cannot write. So my mind went back to what we tell students in the classroom, the authoritarian media system. So that was the practical experience, not the academic experience, which you'll think it's a little bit easy. So I was shocked, so to say, in spite of the fact that I knew going in I had anticipated what I was going to see. So that was strange. But again, that is their system. Because China Daily is actually owned by the Communist Party of China. It's an arm of the Communist Party. And so in authoritarian systems, the media system is always an arm of government. And if it's an arm of government, then you can imagine what they do. That's their job, their principal job will be to do what? To promote the government. In spite of the fact that I was shocked, I had to calm down and ask myself, okay, forget about what you are thinking. This is cross-cultural experience. This is the way they do things. That is exactly the way they do their thing, and it works for them. I said, okay, that's fine. If it works for them, that's wonderful. But that was not my personal experience. And so when I was, conceptualizing doing this two-part series, it just occurred to me that this might be something, to let people know. Because, like I said, academic experience is always different, from the real life experience. And then it's not your duty to say, oh, their system is so bad. Well, to them, your system is also bad. So you take it as it is, and then when you go back, to wherever you're coming from, you can do whatever it is. You can think, you can behave however you want, which is the essence of this program. Cross-cultural experience. When you cross to other cultures, respect what they do. I mean, there was no point insisting, oh, no, 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 I'm for free press. I have to get in to see can you show me your managing editor or whatever? It wasn't going to work because they have their own system of press and the media. Okay, so next week, I'm going to bring you another aspect of life, in China, which was very, very exciting. Let me not let the cat out of the bag, as I say, but it's very, very exciting. If you've never been to China, you'll think The experience is always, like the authoritarian media system where you can't get past. No, 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 no. If you go to China, you might be pleasantly surprised how they do things. Okay. You stay well. You stay blessed. Until I come your way again, remember, if you want to be part of this conversation, crossculturalexperiences at gmail.com. Crossculturalexperiences at gmail.com. I will respond, and then we'll take things from there. For now, take care and bye.